Okay, so let's start with a project or campaign that you would like to talk about today.
So Tapsi, there are many, many campaigns I've done, and I'm really proud and happy, about all of them. But maybe let's just pick up one where I think there are a lot more lessons. And this is a life insurance campaign that I did. It was for the children's product. And the reason why I'm talking about this project is that right from conceptualization of the product and its features to naming the product to launching the product to the campaign to doing a 360-degree surround around it. Okay. It's a campaign that is actually a case study, because in an insurance a product is sold and never bought. Okay. And we tried to create a pull and an engagement around it, which is, I think, the only one of its kind. So it's called Shiksha Plus, Max Life Insurance Shiksha Plus.
Okay. And so let's talk a little bit more about the audience. So you mentioned something very critical, insurance, which is correct. It's very hard to create a pull strategy. So who were you trying to pull into your fold?
Yes. So the first, the first learning that I had into insurance is that insurance was, as a category, been burdened with this whole sense of pessimism and responsibility. It's all about, death. If somebody were to die, people think of insurance. But the reality is that insurance is more of a product which is for life milestones than it is for death as a milestone, or as a moment in life. So you buy insurance for your children's education, for their foreign education, for your retirement, for your savings, for any good, for your daughter's wedding. It's basically 90% plus of insurance is all about savings, and savings for life's positive moments and positive milestones. Less than 10% of insurance is all about buying a term plan for death. So that was my first realization. Okay. So how do I change the category codes from pessimism and a certain sense of burden and this whole something that surrounds insurance, which is a little bit of heaviness around it, to making it free, easy, and a happy category. Okay.
Right.
So that was the shift. And the product that I'm talking about is child's education. Okay. So for me, the TG was, as simple as looking at parents between 25 to 45 years of age who have children below 12 years of age. Okay. So 5 to 12 years, they're the children in the 5 to 12 years bracket when education becomes important for them, and that's typically a segment below 45 years of age. But these are parents who are actually aspiring more for their children. Okay. Just before that, in line with this whole strategy that I was talking about, freeing this whole insurance category from the burden of responsibility to the burden of optimism, I had just changed the overall brand positioning. We'd just done that exercise from your partner for life to karo zyada ka irada. Okay.
Inspirational again.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So in that context, right at the back of that large brand shift, for the total mother brand came this product campaign, which is what I'm talking about, Shiksha Plus. So therefore, parents who are actually aspiring more, very, very hopeful, very, very optimistic about their children. And we'd kept the definition broad because we didn't want to narrow cast it. As many people who can benefit from it should buy.
So you knew, from your own experience in this space about the negativity and pessimism attached to that. In addition to that, were there any other sources of insight that were guiding the overall roadmap for this project?
Yeah. So we did a large UNA study, and one of the things that we realized was it gave us a lot of product insights. Okay. If you don't, I always believe that, advertising can only take an offering forward. Okay. If you don't get the offering right, you can always just go on harping about advertising. You'll get exposed very soon. So fundamentally, it was important to work on the offering, okay, which is the solution itself, the product itself. So the consumer insights were beautiful. What we understood was that insurance is a very locked in kind of product, long term and locked in. While it is important because you're saving for life's larger milestones and you need to give it a certain time for the money to accumulate. But let's say you buy a 10-year savings plan for your child's education. Okay. But you need a certain amount of money to get to be withdrawn for utilization. So insurance allows you some 33% approximately withdrawals, okay, after the third year itself. So we decided to call this withdrawals, okay. This purpose of this withdrawal was to actually, we understood that for education, people have the basic money and they basically save for the larger milestone. But these small amounts that you need to withdraw need to come in handy. And that's where the real insight is. Karo zyada ka irada, Shiksha plus. So what we understood was that these are parents who are not just interested in making their children boring, studious, just perfect in academics and not bothered about anything else. So we were looking at parents who were interested in creating more holistic children. So therefore, some amount of hobby, some amount of training in certain skill sets was important for them. And therefore, the money that they needed to withdraw was for those kind of skills. So we called it Shiksha plus. It's not just education, it's education plus. And the communication clearly said that your withdrawals, you can use your withdrawals for talent enhancement of your child. Okay. So the talent, and it could be any talent, and I'll talk about how we built upon this whole talent theme ourselves as a 360-degree surround. So you withdraw the money for talent, make sure that you're investing in creating a fulfilling or a holistic experience for the child, and that's how the product insight was generated. And the product was, even like I said, from nomenclature, the fact that it's not an education but it's a Shiksha plus, the fact that you can withdraw for talent, the fact that you are looking at creating more holistic all-rounder child, the fact that the brand stood for Karo zyada ka irada, so you see, till now, everything that I speak about, how it all ties up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the research insight, this was the biggest insight that we had, that people feel that this money gets locked in, it comes for the bigger milestone, but you need more withdrawals at periodic intervals. And can those withdrawals necessarily not for the bigger education milestone, but smaller amounts for the other development needs of the child, is something that we actually are looking forward to.
So the consumer insight actually, that exercise revealed to you that what parents wanted was not just the big lump sum at the end, but they also wanted to holistically contribute to their child's growth and development along the way. And that's how you first developed your product offering. And then came the framing and the reframing of how to talk about the withdrawals, how to talk about the campaign, how to rename, reposition the brand.
When we were launching the product, one of the things in an insurance is, and this is very unique because it's a piece of paper. Finally, you can call it Shiksha plus, you can call it whatever, but the product is this one sheet of paper, that this guy goes and, he's getting it filled up a policy form that goes, nobody even knows. Sometimes people don't even discover that, they have a policy and that form is lying somewhere. So one of the other innovations, like this was a case of innovation everywhere, storming the norm. We created a bag-in-a-box packaging. And if you have the provision to show some of the collaterals of this campaign and some of the work that we did, I think it would bring alive a lot of what I'm saying. We created a bag-in-box, almost like a Bonvita pack.
Okay.
For an insurance product, because it's all-round development, it's happy child, so you can almost picturize a kind of a Bonvita kid, on the back, and that's what we did. It wasn't Bonvita, of course, it was as original as the rest of the things we did. We created a bag-in-a-box kind of product. Okay. And that's what our insurance, and even all our POS material, so our insurance agents got very excited. They had not seen something like this ever before. Okay. And they had a story to tell. So this is eventually.
What was in the box?
It was finally sheets of papers and a lot of literature around. I'll talk about one other thing that we did. Details of that were inside this thing. A lot of literature and an article around, how your child can be a best all-rounder. So some interesting flyers. Of course, all the technical legal documents were there with respect.
Right.
But one other thing that we did along with this was we launched a full-fledged 360-degree iGenius program. Okay. Even now it's a case study, iGenius, we said we want your child to be a genius. Okay. It's iGenius. Okay.
Yeah.
So this program got launched by Max as a marketing program.
Mm.
We created a full-fledged microsite around it. Okay, and this was to support the Shiksha Plus product launch. All of this is for this launch. And we said that we will create a talent hunt. Okay, your child, okay, can participate by logging online. Okay,
Mm.
and if your and we created a large mega, along with Universal Music, a large mega music talent hunt festival
Mm.
contest. Okay, so they had to do nothing. It was everything had to be done by us. So we had Salim Merchant, we had Universal Music, Mr. Devrat Sanyal, led this whole
Yeah.
thing from the front, and we had I think one YouTuber, who's now today very popular, as a jury, and we invited kids to actually just do a little recording of their voice and submit it. It was an 8 month, 6 month to 8 month long program. Submissions happened. First round of elimination, second round of elimination by the jury, face to face round, and eventually the winners actually got to cut an album with Universal Music
Wow.
and got a chance to sing along with Salim Merchant and the other lady, who was on the jury. So that was a program that we launched, which was along with the product launch. So details of that went inside the box. Okay.
Got it.
And
Got it.
now imagine this is happening in the online world. This is happening in the marketing, in the virtual world. But it is, as for us, the biggest success was our agents and our sellers got so excited because they go to a parent and they have a story to tell. They don't just have a product story to tell. They're saying, see, this is how we are talking about building all round development. We are helping you actually
Mm.
reach your child to its potential of if he is good music talent, he actually has a chance to cut an album with Universal Music. So all the material, all the YouTube videos, if you search YouTube, you'll find lots of YouTube videos around the whole iGenius thing. Then we took this. So this was for the launch. So all of this went inside the bag and box. But just to complete this whole thing about iGenius as a project, we followed this up with writing skills. So we got Mr. Ruskin Bonds, Chetan Bhagat as our jury, and we published a book with Rupa Publications.
Mm.
Okay. Best short stories got published by Rupa Publication. Then we took it forward into next round again of music. Okay. Then we took it forward into photography. And
Mm.
this whole project was a huge project. And we had more than 2 million, both parents and children, registered on our
Wow.
iGenius portal. 2 million. It's a customer database by itself.
Wow. So this was your go-to-market strategy. You knew the product that you wanted to promote, and you said the way we're going to go to market is by showcasing our desire to help students achieve their best potential in the space of photography, music,
Anything.
writing, whatever it could be.
And there were shorter contests which we were launching one every month on our website. So these were the big properties. But
Yeah.
every month the digital team was launching something or the other online. You're going for a holiday, summer vacation, take a quick picture of nature, send it. So all those were continuously going on.
So this kind of community engagement, is this something that you would recommend? Let's say someone wants to do a product launch, not at the scale that Max could afford, but at their own level. So the idea of building engagement through contests, through submissions, and then packaging your product or rightly positioning your product in that mix is something that you would recommend?
I firmly believe that in today's day and age, and by the way, we didn't have very large budgets. The smarter thing is to actually, how do you engage the community where they sustain and they carry forward your campaign? For every parent whose kids was registered or who was winning even small consolation prizes became my brand ambassador. I strongly recommend that community building, and I've done it for another category, which is a very serious category in health, where we created a community of cancer, caregivers. because and that's a parallel example I'm giving, just to say that even in categories where there is no budget or nothing, but we know that more than cancer patients, it's also the caregivers who have such a huge sense of responsibility sitting on them, and they need to chat with somebody, take tips, because they are the ones who are actually looking after. And we recommended creating a community and around it, no advertising, nothing. And we plugged in, all that we had to do is just get some doctors to come and speak about this thing, or parents to speak about it. We curated that community, and it's such a powerful community. So it's got nothing to do with marketing or whatever, our marketing budgets. If you have small budgets also, building a community, engaging your prospective customers, and getting them to actually also take your brand conversation forward and free you of that responsibility, because finally you hand over the baton of the brand in the hands of the community, to the community.
Right.
You are just there nudging and helping. They are the ones who are doing the conversations. Eventually, this community can become a huge, thriving community. I recommend it to all my clients, but this requires a lot of effort and hard work. Lazy marketers cannot do this, who are used to, just getting a brief, getting a campaign out. This is real work, I mean, it is as much more than money. It's work, it's content, it's getting the right people, it's keeping it fresh, all of that. So that's a lot of.
So just coming back to this topic of budgets, launching these contests, even if you launch a single contest, in addition to launching contests, can we talk about allocation of budgets? Where did you prioritize most of the money? Was it towards implementing these contests? Was it towards ads and digital ads to spread the word? What's the right
So 70% of the budget went in this iGenius community.
Got it.
Okay, around 10% went for getting all this special POS material, because all of this came from marketing budgets. Getting these bags in boxes and stuff like that, because we have to print millions of them and to hand it over to our agents and stuff like that. Maybe another 20% in mainstream campaign. We created one ad, a beautiful ad, which is even today, I mean, if you see it, you will remember it. And like I said, if your program allows you to feature some of those, do plug them in, because then people will see the full picture.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will look for them, or I will ask you for the links. So I'm promoting the right ones. So, okay. So we have 70, 10 and 20. And let's talk about timeline. What was your go-to-market timeline like?
So, like I said, if we keep it in two parts till the time the product got launched and product features and stuff like that, and then from product to market, actually, all of this was happening in tandem. Roughly, it did take us 6 months. End to end, from research to the product to market, 6 to 8 months, because generally 3 to 4 months goes in getting the product filing approval loans.
Correct. Yes.
Have changed,
Once the approvals came in, right, and it was all happening, like you said, in tandem. So while approvals are happening, you're probably working on the contest ideas and putting that out. Okay. And how big was your team? How many people, or who made up your core team to implement this and take it to market?
No, I had a great team. I mean, all of this is because, I had a team that was as excited and as enthusiastic. So we had a small team, but this team was very empowered and we had the right kind of skill set. So even way back then, I had a separate, so there was a digital team. There was a lady who we actually moved in from the activation. We had an activation team. Within the activation, we got one person just totally focusing on iGenius as a program. So the digital team, the iGenius team, the public relation team. So one person. That's the way I operated with all my projects. We used to create a cross-functional core team, and each team had two to three people. That's all. Digital team would have 2-3 people. PR had one person. Activation had 2 people. Brand had 2-3 people. So one brand person, one activation, one media. Media we had at that point in time, I don't recall, but one probably media person. So for any project that we did, we used to just get the whole team, align them. They would work in tandem. We would do our weekly meetings. So I mean, we also do our stand-up meetings. My room was an open door, so anybody can walk in. There was no just waiting for the weekly meeting for decisions to happen.
And at the bare bone level, what would be the makeup of the team that you would recommend someone have? Like at the minimum, you should have,
So So the world has become a little more complex as far as the digital structures are concerned. Um, so there are, unfortunately, people like us have come up ground roots where we've done everything ourselves because the world has the digital world has unfolded, in front of our eyes. I mean, I remember doing the website myself. I had no option because we didn't have those resources. So I know exactly what it takes to do a website. Even when I launched the e-commerce channel, I had to personally do it myself, at that point in time. But today people have become specialized. Okay. So you do have a person who only specializes in e-commerce. You have a person who is only specializing in performance marketing. You have people who
Yes.
are only specializing in brands, stuff like that. Little bit of knowledge is there today. I mean, I'm not saying not everybody, but because there's so much of specialization that has come into play, uh, I always say that, instead of having too many people, have specialists and create cross-functional teams.
Good advice. Good advice. So right. So that's why you had someone from digital, someone from PR, someone to handle the contest. Okay. Understood. Okay, so you launched this, took 6 to 8 months for you to go to market. How were you evaluating the efficacy of this campaign?
So, I mean, sales figures, of course, because in a push industry, you just have to see the numbers. You launched a product, is it selling in the market or not?
Yeah.
It was, that was from a business perspective, the data was there. We, in fact, on the whole iGenius program, there were standing instructions that no sales pitch. At the point in time when you are going and selling this talent, this thing, you are not saying buy the product only, then your child will enroll. It was standing instructions. Okay. Even if you see, even on the websites, microsites we did, there was no sales pitch, nothing. It was a pure this thing, engagement program. But in hindsight, that channel, okay, iGenius as a channel, the pull channel, in hindsight, after 2.5 years of existence and having run multiple programs, that iGenius, when we deduped the data, roughly we got 200 plus crores of sales. Coming from, and this is over the period of time.
Yes.
Coming from, this iGenius parenting community. Okay. So what we told our salespeople at the time, you are not going to do this. Once these people enroll and they have engaged with us, we will give you that database. Okay. And once we give you the database, you go and, and if they are giving you appointments and they're willing to talk about the product, please do. But or mostly 80% of the parents were willing to talk about to meet the agents. It actually created so much trust and goodwill that,
Yes.
unlike a typical sales call where, not many people are willing to engage with an agent, because they'd engaged with us as a brand and the children had seen the benefit and it was a pure engagement. When
Yes.
the agent called for an appointment a year later or 8 months later, they were very happy to give that time. So for me, it was the real success was business. I always believe marketing should have business measures before brand measures. Okay, at least attempt to take the business measure. If you don't take it, you will never know. Then you will find a way to measure it. The other thing is that the campaign, actually, I mean, you should just that the TVC campaign, of course, all possible brand scores. It was a winner. It was amongst the top campaign rated by Mint. Used to do this ratings once a month, kind of. It was amongst the best one there. And so we got all the brand measures and we got the business. So end to end, it's a case study by itself, like I said.
That's amazing. And this was when you said 200 plus crores worth of sales. This was after 2.5 years of running the iGenius platform, right? And all of these contests there. Okay, fantastic. So let's talk about lessons learned. What would be some mistakes that were made along the way that you would like to that you've probably mulled over or would want to advise against, or any advice that you might have for someone rolling out an engagement strategy before a sales strategy?
So I think one of the biggest learnings that I have is many of these programs are people dependent. Okay? They should become not people dependent. They should become self-sustaining by themselves. Now, I know it's very easy said than done, but my biggest regret is that a year or so after I left, my next successor took forward the IGNS program or whatever, and Shiksha Plus. But, after that, the whole program's fizzled out. Like I said, it's a lot of activity, a lot of engagement, a lot of detail that needs to go in. So,
but isn't it the team that makes or breaks campaigns? How can you do it the other way where it self-sustains itself?
I wish there was a little more, if something was doing well and it had a momentum of its own, I think people would have just done something about it. But because, the minute you give up the effort, it just fell.
Okay, so you have to stay consistent would be a takeaway, that if you have that momentum, then keep at it and keep doing it till it organically loses momentum for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Anything else? Any other lessons learned?
Sorry, I'm recovering from that thought. I'm sorry.
No problem at all. So yes, I was just saying, in addition to sticking with the momentum and keeping at it, are there any other things in hindsight that you would like to lessons that you would like to share?
Not specific to this campaign, because this campaign we had a kind of a bull run, as they say. But I think overall, some lessons that that come to my mind is this whole thing of digitization, e-commerce versus brand digital marketing. Okay. Versus, say, for example, the IT. Okay. Now, these three, let's keep the IT out. The digital marketing versus digital commerce. Okay. I think this team structure and alignment, depending on your organization's DNA, is extremely important. To understand, okay, where is the handover takeover happening? Are they part of the same reporting structure or not? And if they are not, is there a matrix between the two? Because today's day and age, what's happening is you start an e-commerce channel that's sitting. It's become a sales responsibility, which it should, okay, but it is so hugely dependent on performance marketing and pull. Okay, performance marketing people are sitting with the marketing folks, okay, and their job becomes just to provide leads or whatever. And this guy is carrying the sales targets, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have seen in many organizations, oh, we didn't get the right quality leads. Oh, but there's no measurement. Oh, but we give you the leads, you didn't do anything about it. So this push and pull between, digital marketing and digital commerce, the structure needs to be correct. Absolutely correct. And then reporting structures need to be absolutely aligned and correct. And KPIs and KRAs need to be linked. So many mature organizations have started doing it, but many new age organizations that are coming up the curve, I think this is one important lesson.
And would you say one way to mitigate the tension between sales and marketing, so to speak, is better communication channels? Cross team stand-ups, let's say, or cross-functional stand-ups where they're talking to each other? Is that one simple way? Like what could someone do today to ensure that they don't face this kind of friction in the future where they're blaming each other for leads versus conversions?
Stand-ups, conversations, of course. I think it's hygiene for me.
Yeah.
But I think solving it at a KPI level where there are common measures, and solving it at a reporting level, whether matrix or direct, is a much more bigger permanent solve. But for me, I think the other important learning, since you speak about it and ask about it, is this whole thing of brand is not digital, is not tactical. Most people are actually today creating brands separately and doing digital marketing separately. The digital is also a medium eventually. Okay, you need to define what's your brand's core. What does your brand stand for? What is your brand's value system? Unless you have the brand clearly thought out, like you communicate on television, like you communicate on billboards or whatever else, you need to get the same brand core thinking embedded in digital marketing. Okay. Digital marketing today has become so performance marketing and so lead generation oriented that they are forgetting that today brands are being built in the digital medium. So therefore, are you thinking brand first? Are you thinking positioning? Are you thinking consumer insights? Or are you generating, 2 posts a day and just putting it out there? No consistency in the brand look, no consistency in the brand language, no consistency in the brand's personality, in the brand's tone. Today you are funny and humorous, tomorrow you are putting some emotional message. Today there is some event, so you communicate that. Tomorrow there is some Onam happening, so you'll put up one Onam post. These junior people have hired who are creating these posts, tactical posts, and putting it all up around. A sum of tacticals will not make a brand. Think,
Correct.
think brand first and think tactics later. And this whole process has got inversed in this whole digital marketing world. And it feels really sad. And that's why today you don't see brands getting built by communication. Brands are getting built by real experiences, and communication is hardly playing any role. And whereas it can actually become a booster.
Thank you for sharing your insights on that. We only have the rapid fire left. So, are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with a person who inspires you.
My father.
Okay. Is there a book or podcast that you're listening to or into right now?
I am into writing my own next book.
Amazing. Do we have a title for it? Or are we going to wait with bated breath till it
You
comes
have to
out?
give it some more time.
Okay, all right. All right. What is your favorite brand?
My favorite brand is Apple. As
Okay.
cliche as that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what would you do differently in your 20s? Now that you have all this experiences, is there anything you would have done differently?
I think a little more focus on the education part. While I know I was a very good student, but at the time, when this whole thing about choosing the right stream was concerned, I actually accidentally hit upon this whole market. Everything has been, it's more accidental than by plan. I actually wanted to. My friends were doing medical, so I appeared the medical exam. So because I flunked. Then I actually did CAT. I didn't prepare for it at all. I wanted to do a proper MBA, but because I didn't prepare for it, I flunked by a couple of marks, no preparation, zero, nothing. Then I went to the next rung MBA institute, and by default just took marketing. No idea why I took it. In hindsight, I have no regrets at all, because it's just beautiful. And I think there was almost like the universe was telling me and guiding me in my steps, and it's come out right. But I could have just fast tracked my journey by paying a little more attention to, getting in, the right education streams right up front, and, having thought through this. But like I said, no regrets.
Wow. I mean, you have multiple awards to your name. So no regrets is an understatement. I mean, you have outshone many of your peers. All right. So, but lesson for takeaway here for students is it's okay if you're muddling your way through, but if there's some clarity, then just jump at it and try to stay focused as much as you can. Anisha, thank you so much for your time and for getting into the weeds with us. Really, really appreciate you spending this time with us.
Thank you, Tapsi. My pleasure. Really enjoyed this conversation.
All right. Bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.